Hello and welcome to the Playbook 11 podcast, head of the Renegades v Strikers and Thunders v Sixers, Big Bash 13 Dream 11 contest. My guest today and a regular member of the Playbook 11 team making his first appearance of the season. It's former New Zealand international turned superstar commentator Simon Doull. Dawley, how are you, mate?
Oh, off the bench, Tim. All good, mate. Great to be here. And chilly England for me at the moment. You're nice and sunny in Australia at the minute, mate. So, yeah, we're getting the best of both worlds, perhaps.
Dooley, 35-degree days here over Christmas, heading into the new year. It's pretty tough going for us at the moment. Big bash every night of the week. Mate, it couldn't be a
Yeah.
better time of year. Now, mate, we've sort of touched base, sort of getting things together for the Playbook 11 podcast, having a crack at Dream 11, providing some content, some previews over it. And since we've been talking about it, you've been to Dubai, you've been in India, in Delhi, you're in London at the moment. You'll be in New Zealand soon via Australia. My question for you is, between covering all this, the IPL, World Cups, the domestic cricket in England, how's it all going for you? How do you settle into that? I suppose it's similar to being a cricketer, obviously, having done that time and time again in the past. You're all over the shop, mate. How do you enjoy it?
Oh, look, I pinch myself on a regular basis, to be honest. I get to travel the world, talk a bit of shit about something I did 20 something years ago and get paid to do it, Tim. So
Mm.
it's one of those situations where I didn't fall into it as such. I started in radio, ended up, in the television game about 2007, which coincided with the 2008 IPL kicking off and kind of been there ever since. And that I don't say it launched my career. Martin Crowe and getting into Sky sort of did that at the start of my career, and then it's just sort of spiraled since. I guess you have to do a reasonable job of it to keep getting asked back, which I'm
Yeah.
pleased I still do. But look, it's phenomenal, and there's so much cricket on now that around the world now, man. I mean, we could be doing one of these on every league around the world now. We'd never get any sleep, would we, if we were doing it on all the leagues that are going? Just come from the T10 down in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, went to the auction and did the South Africa India series from Mumbai, which was
Mm.
crazy to watch with what happened for the Aussie boys in particular, and even for the likes of Daryl Mitchell was phenomenal, and some of the young Indian stars. I mean, it's life changing. The cricket nowadays is life changing for some people, and it's just an absolute joy. I've got to say it. And as long as I keep getting asked to do it, I'll keep fronting up.
Well, Dooley, if a few of our Indian viewers and listeners start to tune in, we might be doing this on a daily basis and covering just about every contest in the world. We might have to get a few more co-hosts on board to cover everything in the world, but that's the idea. Hey, we'll get stuck in just before we do preview the Dream 11 contest. As primarily an Australian cricket fan, naturally, I love world cricket. I love following every bit about it. But the Indian Premier League auction has just come and gone. Mitchell Starc and Paddy Cummins, the spearhead of the Australian
Yeah.
pace bowling attack, they have shattered the records at the auction. Mitchy Starc going for 24.75 crore. Paddy Cummins, he actually broke the record about half an hour before Starc did at 20.5 crore. Some phenomenal, phenomenal money. I sit there and obviously I know my cricket and I know bits and pieces, but you look at the auction, and I sort of thought the Australian captain, they're both very versatile bowlers. Mitch Starc,
Mm.
I guess he's more of a match winner, take a pole when you need it. But Paddy Cummins, a bit younger in age, a real public figure, like a real. I thought Cummins would have gone for more than Starc. Can you give us your thoughts, whether you agree with that or disagree with it?
Yeah, it's a good point. I sort of thought with what Cummins offers with the bat and the captaincy side of things,
Mm.
he might have gone for a little bit more. But one point that was made regularly throughout our discussions was that Mitch Stark kind of takes the pitch out of the equation. If you think about what he does with the new ball, swinging it, getting it really full, doesn't need conditions in his favour. He's not an into the surface seam type bowler, and at the back end, if it's reversing, he takes the pitch out of it as well. So he doesn't necessarily need conditions in his favour to be highly successful. And not that Pat Cummins always needs that either, but I just think in the shortest format of the game, Cummins relies heavily on those cutters that he bowls. They don't always work on a great surface, on a really good flat pitch, whereas Stark can negate that
Yeah.
with his genuine pace and full pitch deliveries. So it's a great game of one-upsmanship, though, in the dressing room, that, isn't it? I mean, you had it for half an hour, Paddy. I'm sorry, mate. That's sort of, yeah. You just. I'll get the drinks this round, buddy. You're right. That sort of thing will go on. I'm imagining throughout the next couple of years for Australia. But look, they're both terrific players, and it's nice to see Starc back. I wasn't sure he'd go for the price he went for, purely and simply because of his history in the
Yeah.
IPL. He'd been in the auction, he'd pulled out. He'd been selected, he'd pulled out. And the Indians do tend to have a bit of memory for that side of things. So, look, it surprised me somewhat that he went for the amount of money he did. Didn't surprise me that teams were going to be after both of them. I mean, they're both terrific players.
Yeah, so if you're sitting at the table for Kolkata and you've got the money to spend, you've got the purse, you've had a big year, and who are you forking the extra dollars out for out of the two? It sounds like Cummins. Which way are you leaning?
Yeah, look, I think if I've got batting power, I'm going for Stark. If I've got enough batting, I'm going for Stark. If I need someone who can bat at that 6-7 or 7-8 position and offer me something, then I'm looking at Cummins all day long. And if I need a captain, and that's the other thing that I think the Sunrisers looked at. Markram might not play every game for them. They haven't announced the captain. So Markram might not be playing every game. So they might have been looking down that track as well. And, she loves a good-looking boy. She's picked up Aidan Markram and Pat Cummins in the last 2 years, the owner of Sunrisers. So she's all right with that.
Not stupid, Dooley. Not stupid at all, mate. I'll tell you what. Poor old Josh Hazelwood, the other member of that pace bowling attack in Australia, if he doesn't get a few free beers out of Stark and Cummins, then, mate, I don't know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is our second episode of the Playbook 11 podcast. So for anyone that is new to it, and I dare say there'd be a few of you, we're here to provide expert Dream 11 advice. Fresh from Aussie soil, we've got the Australian insights. Dooley obviously being a Kiwi, but knows the game inside out, back to front. Not only that, but he knows his Dream 11. He knows the Indian, everything about it. The plan is to go ahead and do a bit of IPL Dream 11 content as well. We like to think that there's no people better than us than to be able to convert our knowledge of fantasy cricket in Australia and the conditions over to Dream 11. So, mate, with that being said, let's get stuck into it. Game one, the Melbourne Renegades versus the Adelaide Strikers. If we go into that game starting tomorrow night at the time of recording, the Melbourne Renegades, they've had a tough start to the competition, but they've got an absolutely stacked lineup. They look like lining up as De Kock, Clark, Fraser McGurk, very unluckily run out in his last fixture. Sean Marsh, unbelievable, first game back from injury. Maddinson, Wells, Sutherland, Rogers, Richardson, and Zampa. The only question mark there will be Mujib Ur who the Afghanistan Cricket Board, they've basically said that you can't go and play franchise cricket around the world. Lots of different things going on there. The Renegades put a statement out yesterday saying that Mujib, as far as they know, they haven't heard from the Afghani board and he'll be good to go for this game. So, provided Mujib is cleared, that will be the lineup. As for the Strikers, also set to be pretty similar to what they fielded last fixture in Darcy Short and Matt Short at the top of the order. Lynn, Weatherald, Hose, Overton, Basley, Nielsen, Agar, Payne, and Cameron Boyce. The only one that might slip in there, they've got a pretty decent quick bowling stock, so Henry Thornton could slide in there. But look, the way they've started the tournament as, not the strongest list in the competition. Thornton, they've had a nice break between games as well, so probably not this one for Thornton, but just one to keep an eye out for that game being played at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. Now, first innings average totals in 2023, 158 runs. In 2022, 172 runs. So, look, it's an okay pitch, but there are far, far better decks in Australian cricket than there is at Marvel. So, it's a game where you'd probably lean towards spending your Dream 11 funds on bowlers, on all-rounders, a little bit riskier on the batsmen. Dooley, let's get stuck into it. We will start with the bowlers, and one of them is World Cup winning spinner Adam Zampa. He starts at 9 crore. At the time of recording, he's been selected by almost 40% of participants. He's a bloke that I'm looking to leave out. I've watched every one of their games very closely so far. Zampa, great in the World Cup, but it's been a combination of a couple of things. He hasn't honestly looked that good coming back from the World Cup. even when he is on, oppositions in Australia in the Big Bash, they know that his level of quality, so they're happy to see him off at times a little
Mm.
bit. Takes away from his wicket taking potential. So Zampa at 9 crore, one that I'm looking to go against.
Yeah, and a guy that you sort of look at and you think the Aussies actually play him better because they play him more often when he gets to a world stage. And it's very difficult to come back from that world stage and also be as up for every game that you want to be in the green and gold. And I just don't think he's there at the moment. And I don't blame him for that. It's not it's not a slight on Adam Zampa. I think he's an incredible bowler. But I'm with you. I'm with you. I think at 9, I think he's probably, you can find better options. That's a surface that's probably held a little bit over the years as well. That they struggle with the roof and getting that pitch rock hard enough to play really well. I think the sort of the cross seam deliveries have held for the seam bowlers a little bit. The spinners have had a little bit of success there. And as you said, not a really high scoring ground, but I think there are better options than spending 9 crore on Zamps.
And that's it, Dooley. It's like you look at these players coming back from the World Cup with mixed success, but there, as you mentioned before, there's so much cricket in the world, and Marcus Stoinis is the
Mm.
prime example that, to me, Matt, he struggles to hit off the square in the Big Bash. It's like it's
Yeah,
not so much. It's a bit of a knock on him, I'll be honest. However, at
yeah,
some point, something's got to give where your head just goes, "Good God, I need a break." But anyway,
yeah.
I feel like that way with Adam Zampa. A couple of other quickies in the mix, and there's Kane Richard at 8.5 crore, David Payne, the Englishman, at 8 crore, Wes Agar at 8 crore. All ones worth considering. I do feel like there's possibly a little bit of value in the bowling ranks. Of those
Mm.
three, look, Kane Richardson is probably my pick of them. He hasn't had a lot of luck to date. He got a wicket and a run out late in the Renegades' last fixture at 8.5 crore. Of those three, I'm leaning toward Kane Richardson. He is selected currently by 65%. So I don't know how far it'll get you, but he's probably my man there. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think again he can go cross seam, big tall bowler into the surface type bowlers at Marvel. I think would be a better option with the way that sometimes it just holds a little bit, skids through off the side of the ball, sticks in the surface a little bit off the seam. So the into the wicket type bowler, and I don't mind Kane Richardson. And you're also looking for a guy who might bowl you an over at the death as well, and just pick up a couple of cheap poles. And I think he's got that in him too. So I think when you're looking at the money spend, I don't mind him at all.
Talking of money spent, mate, Tommy Rogers, he had a really poor start to the tournament by his standards. He was one of the top wicket takers last campaign in BBL 12. 25 wickets off the top of my head, it might have been. But he really hit his straps last game. So anyone that jumped on him in any Dream 11 contest would have reaped
Mm.
the rewards. As a result, he's at 71%. Matt, he's at
Yeah.
6 crore, and he's just a phenomenal value play in this one. I'm a little bit surprised he's not a little bit higher. He bowls some pretty key overs for them. He's a good talent. He comes in at around about 8, 9 at the deepest for them. I actually played a lot of junior cricket against Tommy Rogers. We're from the same area, mate, and mate, I know all the tricks of the trade that Tommy's got to offer. He's a very good cricketer, and at 6 crore, he'll be in my team.
You don't want to have the horse bolted though, do you? I mean, you wanted him last game. That was the key for Tommy. As the horse bolted, and now all of a sudden 71% have jumped on board with him. I think if you're on him last game, you've got to be sticking with him. You've just got to think about these situations and look, have I missed the boat, or do I think he's good enough to back it up? And is he the sort of player that can go bang bang, put two performances back to back, and get the job done for you? And those are the questions you ask yourself when you're looking at these things. Have I missed it, or do I back him to go again? And does he have the skills? Did I see enough skills in that last game to say, yeah, I'm going to back him again this one? And if you sit there, great, because at 6 he's a great buy.
And that's it. Like, if he was at 8 crore, I'd be happy to go, you know what? Maybe he can't. And as I said, like, the ship might have
Yeah,
sailed.
correct.
But at 6, I'm happy to free up that cash elsewhere, particularly for
Still
that
go
all
again.
round.
Mm.
Hey, Dawley, anyone else in the bowling ranks you wanted to touch base on, or do we move on to the all rounders?
No, look, I didn't mind Wes Agar on that sort of surface again, but he's another option where if you're thinking about Richardson, if you want to save half a crore, I don't mind Wes Agar as well.
Mate, the big one in this contest, Matty Short. You know what? I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball at you before we touch on Dream 11. How the hell is Matty Short not gone at the IPL auction just yet, mate? He's an unbelievable top order batter. He's pretty versatile. He's capable with the ball. Unsold.
Yeah, he went to, where did he go? Was
Peanuts.
it Punjab Kings? He went to Punjab Kings last year. Opened the bowling a couple of times. Had one innings of real substance. Looks a good player. Looks a really good player. I sort of they're just there's some guys are unfashionable. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of how, and if and if you got the name Short, you get one big year, and then you're dumped again the next year, a la Darcy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. See you, mate. One good year. Cheers. It's it's funny how it works, but yeah. Anyway, hey, that they could pull that loose change out of their sock to get Matty Short over there.
Mm,
So if there's a roster
yeah,
spot free,
correct.
we know there's a few more to come. You could do a lot worse. Back onto Dream 11 in this contest. Matty Short is at 9 crore, currently
Yeah.
selected 97% of Dream 11 players. Look, we're in the business of winning contests. So I
Mm,
see that number, and the fantasy side of me goes, look, if he goes nuts and I go against him, so be it. But this is my opportunity. That being said, he's been opening the bowling for the Strikers at times, bowling, generally about 3 overs. He looks phenomenal with the bat, got some of the best levers and those, he just, he'll be in my team, is what I'm getting at. How do you
yeah.
see?
Look, mate, he's a very good fielder as well. So you got all three aspects of the game, and when you've got a guy like that who opens the batting, opens the bowling, he just gives you so many options. And I think that's the key. You're going to have to spend, you've got to spend nine on one or two players. And when you look through that game, he's at the top of my list. He's at the top of my list of spending my nine. Otherwise, where else do you go? And if you've got a three-dimensional player that you can throw your eggs in, and yes, everyone else has got them, but you don't want to be that bloke that just takes the punt. I don't think if you're in the 3%, you are hoping that he fails in all three formats, and he's not that bad a player to do that.
Yeah, you're 4 overs into the game, whether the Strikers are batting first or bowling first, and your contest could be done and
Yeah,
dusted, to be honest. So,
yeah,
look, if you're brave enough to do it,
correct.
good luck to you. I'm not. Nick
Yeah,
Maddinson, currently at 15% ownership. Look, I'm surprised he's at that sort of ownership at 8.5 crore. I
mm,
think it's a waste of money. He's batting down the order. His form hasn't been very good. He's been under an injury cloud leading into the tournament. I think the 15% there, I'm not going near him. Darcy Short is another one who, mate, he's been in really poor form for going on
yeah,
2 years now, give or take the odd innings at 8.5 crore. He's selected by 69% of Dream
yeah.
11 players. Darcy Short, he had a great knock in the first game on a flat as attack road of a deck at Adelaide Oval. I'm not going near Darcy Short.
No, no, I'm leaving him out. He's not for me. Look, I've seen enough of Darcy Short to know that he's got talent and ability, but I just don't think he puts it together enough. And that for me just doesn't. At 8.5, when I've got better options than Jamie Overton and Will Sutherland, I'm leaving him out. He's a no go for me.
And mate, those two names you just mentioned, Jamie Overton and Will Sutherland, two again that are big ownership for good reason. At Overton at 90%
Yeah.
ownership, Sutherland at 88%. Sutherland, we've seen he started to bowl a few of the death overs for the Renegades. I think he picked up 3 wickets
Mm,
in the last game for them in that final over. Overton, who, it's not often that even a big name international player comes down to the BBL for sort of the first or second time and has immediate impact. He's been terrific for them. I think he's got a career strike rate of
yeah.
around about 170, average of about 21 in T20 cricket, 8 crore. Overton, look, I think he'll be in my team. Will Sutherland is one that you can potentially go against at the enormous ownership at 88% at 7.5 crore because he doesn't always bowl death. He'll often bowl the middle overs where less opportunity to take wickets, better for the economy rate. He bats at anywhere from sort of 6 to 7 for them, often number 7. They've failed to get going so far, the Renegades top order, but it's got to come with that
Yeah.
sort of class. Quinton de Kock's looked phenomenal. He's got a big scoring coming. How do you feel about these two players?
Yeah, well, I think you're right in the fact that Sutherland, if he's coming in at 6 or 7, mate, you have to feel that this lineup is going to get going. at some
Mm.
stage. So you like to think if you want to go against him, you're thinking he's not going to face 10 balls, first and foremost. He's going to come in right at the back end, if at all. So you're going on that realm thinking, let's just leave him out. Let's hope he doesn't bat. And if he doesn't bowl towards the back end of the innings, then he's not going to pick up wickets. So you can leave him out. Overton, I think, is a very, very serious player. He's a three-dimensional player. If you need the run rate up, he can pop up the order. He can hit the ball out of the park. What they need 18 to win in their last game, and he nearly got it done. 18 of the last over,
Yeah.
he nearly got it done in the last one. So look, he's a terrifically talented player. Bowls, bats, fields. I'd have him in my side all day, every day. I think at 8 crore.
Yeah, and Will Sutherland, look, again, another very good cricketer, but, pretty young in his career. That last game against the Scorchers where he took 3 wickets, amounted to a ton of points in Dream 11. He didn't bowl well. Oh, that is just a
No,
complete fact. And he's bowled well early in this tournament. He did not bowl well in that game. He could not hit his line and length. So, look, I'm
mm,
keen on Overton than Southern. And look, if we're going Matt Short, we're going Overton. You can't have everyone to win a contest at massive
no,
numbers. While I think Southern is a decent buy at 88%, tempted to go against him. I think I might be
yep,
leaving him out the more I think about it. Mate, the other one in this contest, James Basley. Again, there's a few question marks around overs and does he get his max four in for the strikers? But
mm,
at 6.5 crore, a bloke who could bat at around 6 or 7 for them. He's got a big long shot in him, massive strike rate when he gets his runs. So Basley, if he
yeah.
can face the balls, the strike rate will be there. 6.5 crore, I don't mind him.
Yeah, a sort of another one of those risk reward type players that not many others are going to have. If he gets 10 or 15 balls at the back end, he get you 35, 40 runs. He's
Yeah.
got the power and the ability to do that. So, and they sneak a couple of overs, and he's another one that he's a good option at the right sort of money because you're going to spend a bit of money on the Overtons, the shorts. There's more guys to talk about yet, but you're going to spend a little bit of money on those sorts of players. So, I think you've got to have two or three of those 6.5s in your mix, and he to me is a good one to have.
Hmm. We'll get to the batters, Dooley, and I have a lot more of a preference for bowlers and all rounders, generally speaking, when I pick my Dream 11 teams, but potentially on a deck that we don't really know what it's going to throw up for this game, and we don't have a lot of probably confidence in the batting order. Chris Lynn, he's top of the pops at 9 crore, 70% selection. Again, mate, a bloke who has only one role in this game, and that is to bat. He's getting on in
Yeah.
age. He plays a lot of cricket around the world, but he could just as easily come out and get a first ball duck, and all of a sudden, as an owner, you're in all sorts of trouble struggling to win this contest. So I'm happy
Yeah.
to leave Christian out.
He's not there for me. 9 crore. I mean, I'll be honest with you, where he's at in his career at the moment, if he was at 8.5, I still wouldn't be looking at him.
Mm,
I don't think he is value by any stretch of the imagination. He'll give you right now in 10 T20 innings, he'll give you two or three.
yeah, yeah.
He'll give you two or three, and I don't think that's been harsh on him. I just think that's
No.
the way he plays. He's got a way that he plays now, and it's hit or bust, and more often than not now, unfortunately for Lenny, who's a terrific bloke, it's bust.
And that's it, mate. Like if we're in the 30% of non-owners in this contest, and Chris Lynn comes out and hits 80 runs off 40 balls, good luck to him. Our
Yeah,
contest goes down the drain, but that's a risk that I'm willing to take because you can't have everyone.
correct. Yeah, absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
going to shoot all the way to the bottom of this list, and I can't wait to get your take on him. I don't know how much you've seen of Jake Fraser
Mm,
overseas. You'd have seen every highlight reel around the world, but mate, he's young, he's gun. The picture that they've got on him on the the Dream 11 site, it looks like he's about 11 years old.
doesn't it? Doesn't it?
He is he's a star. He gives me very early David Warner vibes where he's doing it in
Mm,
short form. He's had a little bit of success in the longer form. He has the fastest, 50 over ton in world cricket, which he set off, I think it was 29
mm.
balls or something, just a couple of months back. He was run out in his last game. Jake Fraser McGurk, 50% ownership. I think he's a gun, and at 7 crore, he's in my team. What do you think?
He's got to be in your side. 21 years of age. He's coming off the back of two scores. In the last two games, he's got two decent scores. A young kid that looks absolutely full of talent. And you're right, that photo, I'm just having a little sneak at it now. He looks about 12 or 13 years of age, doesn't he? He
You just
should
want to
still be
lean
at
over and
school,
pop,
the young lad.
you just want to lean over and pop the pimples on his nose.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So absolutely. I mean, at 7 crore, you're all over him. As I say, coming off the back of two scores, you can't go wrong. He looks talented, and I think if you stick with him throughout the season, he's going to give you more good than bad
Mm.
because he is that talented, and that's the key. So you got to find blokes that you like, find blokes that you stick with each game, and if you can pick him up at 7, I think absolutely, you're all over it.
Dooley, I'm not overly keen on any batters on that list for this contest. Was there anyone else that you wanted to touch on there? I know Adam Hose, he was tremendous coming in late last game for the Strikers, got them home with
Mm.
just a phenomenal knock. That being said, he hasn't had a lot of success down under. He's batting at around about 5-6 for them. Not for me.
No. What happened with Cox? Jordan Cox played the first couple of games, did he? And then he went. Has he made way for someone else?
Yeah, he's been in and out. It's a bit all over the
In
shop.
and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hose. I've seen him play one or two good innings in the UK. Again at 8, you might think about. I mean, if you're thinking about Sean Marsh or Adam Hose, you'd
Mm.
probably switch towards Sean Marsh all day, every day. I think in that lineup. And then Wetherell's the only other one, but I'm thinking probably not. So no, I'm okay to leave a lot of those batters at the big money. I'm okay to leave a lot of those batters out.
Yeah, and if we skip ahead to wrap it up with our wicket keepers, obviously the big name there, Quinton de Kock, currently in 81% of teams at
Yeah.
9 crore. Joe Clark, another one who knows the Aussie conditions, better than pretty much any import in the
Mm.
competition at 7.5 crore. As far as batsmen go, I'm leaning towards those two. Quinton de Kock, I was happy to go against in his first few games and wasn't punished too bad, aside from some okay scores. But holy moly, he was seeing them like beach balls, mate. The timing, the
Yeah.
Christmas hitting,
Yeah.
he looked phenomenal. So again, he's taking the gloves over Joe Clark, so that's a little bit of a bonus as well. A few fielding points.
Yeah.
Where do you sit there? I think early in the tournament, I'd lean towards Clark. I've seen enough of De Kock now that I'm thinking he's ready to go big.
Yeah, and look, he's class. He uses class. He will have eased into it nicely, I think, Quinton. You've got the opportunity to pick up a couple of catches, a stumping, a run out somewhere along the lines as well. And I think, that more often than not, he's going to bat you 10 balls for you. And if he bats 30, 40, he gets you a good score and at a very good strike rate. He doesn't muck around nowadays, QDK. So I think, again, at 9 crore, you go. We need one, two, three of those players in our team, and he's got to be the third one I think we've picked now for mine. So I'd go QDK.
Dooley, captain and vice captain. Captain for 2 times points, vice captain for 1.5 points. Do you just lock and load Matt Short for your 2 times? I'm leaning towards probably just doing that, playing it a little bit safe in this one, especially because there's a few high profile and highly owned players we've gone against. I don't feel like we need to
Mm.
make up that differential in going, a left field, low ownership captain. So I'm thinking short captain, possibly leaning towards Jamie Overton as a vice captain. Who do you think the two best picks in this contest are?
Well, I can show you what I wrote down here. You can probably see that Overton and Sutherland. So we're not far apart. We're
Yeah.
not far apart on that. I mean, I'd be happy to go if you're thinking short Overton Sutherland. As maybe an outside option, but short and Overton, pick him either way you want. If you want to put Jamie Overton, put the two names in a hat, and the first one out's the captain, the second one out's the vice captain. I mean, just go with that. But I think Jamie Overton and Matt Short, absolutely.
So, Dooley, if you're leaving one of Sutherland and Overton out, would it be Sutherland
Yeah.
or how are you leaning?
Yeah, yeah. Sutherland, I think, is the guy I was kind of. I'd looking at them there and thinking, where am I going to go? I'll probably leave Sutherland out and keep Overton. I think he's a big game player. He offers you all three formats, and I mean as they both do. But I think Overton's just probably pips him ahead of Sutherland for me.
Good to know we're on the same page on that one, mate. Let's move on to the Sydney derby, the Sydney Thunder versus the Sydney Sixers. I am a Sydney Sixers man myself. The Sydney Thunder looking like lining up with Bancroft, Hale, Sanger, Davies, Ross, Sams, McAndrew, Green, Sandu, and Zaman Khan. May not line up as listed. Liam Hatcher is a big one who could. He's a pretty strong chance to come in for Grinda Sandu. Grinda Sandu, a bit of a Gabba specialist, brought in for last game and performed relatively well. Got an early wicket there, but loves the
Yeah.
Gabba Grinda. So
Mm.
Hatcher is the main one there that could come in and is the only change to the team. As for the Sixers, another team that likely go in as named: Philippi, Vince, Hughes, Enriquez, Silk, Edwards, Davies, Abbott, Dwarshus, Bird, and Stephen O'Keefe. If you've been living under a rock, you would have missed the news that Tom Curran is banned for 4 games, the star English all-rounder, and an absolute blow for Dream 11 teams. But you know
Mate,
what? Probably had what was coming to him, Dooley.
what a fool. What an idiot.
Oh,
Honestly, I mean, that is, and I'm sad to say it, and I've seen it before, that is arrogance personified. And it really, look, it doesn't surprise me from Tom Curran.
mm,
It doesn't. And, I thought he should have got more.
yeah,
He should have got
agreed.
more. You cannot do that.
It was Dooley. The footage was so damning, and credit to Mario Enriquez, as any good captain
Yeah.
should. He came out and stood up for his man, but all the footage was there. There was audio, and it was disrespectful to the
Yeah.
game, to the
Absolutely.
umpire on duty. So, anyway, I'll tell you what it
Yeah.
has done, Dooley. It's left us an all-rounder short in our Dream 11 contest because he was looking
Can they
bloody
bring
good.
someone in? Can they bring someone in for him for 4 games? How does that work in the
With
Big
a
Bash? Do they have
ban,
to replace him? I
I'm
wouldn't
going
have
to go to
thought
them
so.
and say they can't. But
Yeah, I would have thought that's right. I mean, if you're injured, yes. If you're banned, I
yeah,
would say no. Sorry,
oh,
fellas, that's your doing.
don't carry on like a
Yeah,
pelican.
pork chop.
Yeah. Hey, mate, this game being played at the Sydney Showground. It's a deck with plenty of life in the wicket, as we know. Really short, straight boundaries. Average total of 155 in
Mm.
2023 so far. In 2022, an average score of just 144. Again, mate, bowlers, bowlers, bowlers. I'm not going to invest too heavily in
Yeah.
batsmen on these grounds. There are plenty of decks around Australia where, Manuka Oval, Adelaide Oval, there's runs in them. This probably is one, couldn't be further away from that. So all rounders, bowlers, that's where I'll be allocating my funds. Let's start with the bowlers, and we will go with
Mm.
Sean Abbott, a bloke. Look, he'll cost you an arm and a leg at 9 crore, but at 48.8% ownership, I love everything about this bloke. He has a key role bowling at the death for the Sixers. I
Mm.
believe, he's the highest wicket taker in Big Bash history, and I'm a little bit surprised he's not higher selection.
Yeah, 48's a low number for me. Maybe that's because they've spent money on batters. Other guys
Yep.
might have spent money on batters and left them. You look at the bowlers last. Maybe I'm with you. I look at the bowlers and the all rounders first, and then sort of have to fill those gaps later on if I'm doing this type of thing. Terrific competitor, Saber. Obviously got game with the bat too. He's gun in the field. If he's required at the back end with the bat to do a job, he can certainly do that. There are very few that will forget the innings at the Oval. So at 9, I'm happy with him. And who's this competition when you're looking through Dwarshus, Jackson Bird? You're thinking he's probably a step above them. So I got no problem with Sean Abbott.
He's the absolute class of the bowlers in this game, and
Mm,
it's
yeah,
almost a bit of a needle in a haystack job. Like you reach in, you pick something out, see what you can find. The rest of the bowling attack, Ben Dwarshus, each and every year, for whatever reason, you mentioned earlier, like profile, big name, and all that. Dwarshus doesn't seem to have it, but just every
nah,
year he's a terrific performer. So there's Dwarshus,
yeah,
Zaman Khan, Jackson Bird, who I lean towards probably being a little bit more of an economical focused bowler, but maybe not getting the key overs at stages.
mm.
Who else stands out to you in this bowling lineup?
Yeah. Look, I like Zaman Khan. I like what he offers. 90% though, with 90% people taking him, and you're thinking, Dwarshuis or Jackson Bird, Dwarshuis or Zaman Khan, I'd probably lean towards Ben Dwarshuis. Just
Yeah.
because, as you said, he continues to get the job done. And you're going up, you got a 40% better opportunity. You got only 40% against you. So I don't mind Ben Dwarshuis, and he's got one of the great mows in the game as well. So you got to have a good mow in your team, don't you?
Well, are you a decent cricket team without a good mow? Or
I don't know. I'm not sure you are.
as someone who can't grow one, I'm very envious of Ben Dwarshuis. Mate, Tanvi Sanger is a bloke. I'm
Mm,
going to have him in my team because I think
yep.
I'm not going to say he's a world class bowler at the moment. I know he's played for Australia, but he's young. He's learning his craft. He's on the way. I'll be honest, he's had a slower start to the tournament than expected. I think he took three for in his first game for the Thunder. He doesn't bowl the best overs for Dream 11. That they might utilise him sort of early in a power play for an over and then a lot of middle overs. Not enormous wicket taking opportunities. He hasn't been overly economical since. At 34% ownership, I'm
Mm.
happy to back the talent of Tanvi Sanger because he's got a massive future. He's a very good cricketer. If he was at 80%, I'd say I don't think he's worth it. At 34%, I see an opportunity for a bloke that can come in and take 3 or 4 wickets.
Yeah, not a bad option actually. 3 for 21 in that game. I think you're talking about. Um, Again, you're looking for guys who, if you're going to take an Abbott and a Dwarshuis at 9 and 8, you've got to have some sevens. You've got to have some 6.5 sevens if you're looking, and he fits nicely in there. 34% selection rate. So so you got a good amount going for you. As far as guys that haven't picked him, and he's a chance of success. And so I don't mind him at all. As I say, he's had one good outing, 3 for 21, and they've been a little bit. The Thunder have won one, played four, haven't they? So they
Mm.
haven't had the best of starts to the tournament. So you think the batting hasn't quite been up to scratch. Bowlers haven't been too bad at times. So yeah, I'm happy to have Tanvi Sangha in the side.
Mate, anyone else on the bowlers you want to touch on, or do we move on to the all important all rounders?
I think we get onto the all rounders. There's not much else in there. What are you thinking? O'Keefe. Yeah, not much else in
Hey,
there.
hey,
Nathan
yeah.
McAndrew.
At 6%
No.
ownership, Stephen O'Keefe, talk about who knows the game, knows the role potentially, and
Well,
could
yeah.
be a late inclusion. He's been very economical,
Eh,
very good so far. But, mate,
yeah.
the all rounders are where we want to spend our cash just for
Mm,
something different, mate. Daniel Sams. I'm in two minds about Daniel Sams because I think he's taken 7 wickets in his last 2 games, but they've all come in the space of 2 overs, bowling at the death. In the first 2 games of the tournament, he bowled 2 and 3 overs respectively. He didn't even get his entire contingent of 4 overs. He didn't bowl at the death in those. He has bowled at the death and bowled his overs the last 2 games. Look, when he's bowling his
mm,
4 overs and he's bowling at the death, where he's taken all these wickets and he's batting at number 6, he's got arguably the best role in Dream 11.
yeah.
96% ownership. Um, my how do we put this? My gut says pick him. My head says I want to be in that 3%, but I think the safe option is to get him in.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I look at Sam's and Enrique's and Mo, and I think, if I was going to go with one, do you go with the skipper because he actually chooses when to bowl
Yeah,
and gives himself a better
very good.
opportunity for half a crore, like for point 0.5 of a crore? But I mean, look, I've just seen Daniel Sams do it time and time again. And it's not about, look, people say wickets at the death, are they as good as wickets up front? No, they're not. But you still got to take them. And he does. He continually takes them. And he finds a way to get, he'd be none for 30 off three and 3 for 38 off four. You're never out of the game with Daniel Sams. And that's one of the things I think. And with the bat, he's very similar. So, yeah, D Sam's in ahead of. I mean, when you think of what he's got 96%, Mo's got
Oh,
84%. So I don't know. Mo will what do you get 2 for 11 in the last game off two? He just comes in late in the piece
yeah.
and sneaks a couple of wickets. He'll get your runs. The one thing about Mo is he'll bat his 10 balls more often than not. He doesn't give it away. That's the other thing. And he might
Oh,
push himself to 4 or 5 as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Will I lean towards Mo over Sam's, or would I lean towards Sam's over Mo? I don't know. Not sure where I go on this. So where do you sit?
Well, I'll tell you one thing's for sure. Are wickets at the death as good as wickets early on or through the middle overs? They're absolutely not. As a Dream 11 player, do I care? No, I do not. I'll take
No,
those 25 points
exactly.
every day of the week.
Yeah.
Look, of the two, Daniel Sams, even especially at the ownership, Sams, said batting six, getting his 4 overs, bowling the death. Moe,
Mm,
he's bowled a few times this tournament. Surprisingly, no one really saw it coming. He hasn't bowled in recent additions to the tournament. He might not bowl next game. So
yeah.
I think Sams is the obvious option. And
Yeah.
at 84% ownership, I'd be looking to go against Moses Enriquez. Tom
Yeah.
Curran, 1% ownership. Look, I'll save you the hassle to those 1%. Get him out of your team because he's not playing.
Get him out now.
Mate, a player who hasn't gone particularly well thus far this tournament, but at 2% ownership, Hayden Kerr, if he finds himself on that team sheet, we talk about roles. He's a terrific batsman. We've seen the Sixers promote him as high as number 3 in the past in big
Mm,
games where he's delivered runs. I think he hit a 90 odd one game. Not saying he has the opportunity now, but with Tom Curran gone, we've seen Joel Davies come into the team, but Hayden Kerr, potentially some batting opportunities. He's a good bowler. Again, another one at 80% ownership, I'd go, probably not enough runs on the board. At 2%
mm.
ownership, I'm here to win a Dream 11 contest. I like Hayden Kerr.
Yeah, absolutely. I got no problem with that at all. And you're looking for that smoky, aren't you? You're looking for something
Yeah.
that no one else has got, and he gives you an opportunity. And a lot of people may not understand that Curran is gone. It's been all over the news. You should know, but who do we bring in? And if you don't know enough about Hayden Kerr, he's absolutely got game. He has got game with bat and with ball, so there's no issue for me around having him in. Even at 8, I've got no issue with having him in the side.
Yeah. Yeah. Very genuine play for me, Matt. We move on to the batting lineup. And again, a lot of high risk, high reward here.
Mm.
James Vince, he was tremendous in his last game. He carried that Sixers innings, 75% ownership as a result, 9 crore. I'm going to call it again, 75% ownership, a bat only. He's someone that I'm going to take on despite his good record in the Big Bash.
No issue with that at all. Look, I love James Vince. I think he's a terrific character. He's a very smart thinker of the game. Seen him captain sides all over the world with success. But again, you're a one-dimensional player. You're not doing a lot else. We're not going to have you as a captain if we pick you at 9 anyway. So no, happy to leave him out. And when I've got comparisons, at better money, I think I'm happy to risk him as well.
Alex Hales, really keen to get your thoughts here, Dooley, on Hales, because I think in his last 10 innings leading into last night's game against the Brisbane Heat, he was averaging about 13 runs across the Abu Dhabi T10, which you were all
Yeah,
around at the start of the
yeah.
Big Bash. He got a few runs last night. He went to town on poor old tall Paul Walter, who's been a sensation early on. But he's 35 years old now. His father time getting the better of him. He played and missed a hell of a lot early on. He got a little bit
Mm.
lucky at 45% ownership. Can go big, but when we talk about Dream 11, he also took 3 catches, so that boosted his score. It's a no from me.
Yeah, and for me as well, I love what Alex Hales has done. I just think when you stop playing that international cricket, you stop playing that real competitive cricket, and it doesn't quite mean as much to you,
Yeah.
you can just slide a little bit. And I think that's where he's at right now. He's starting to find out with some of those guys that have been through that patch in the last 3, 4, 5 years that have given away the international stuff. You're not playing it as competitively as you were, and it just goes. It leaves you a little bit. Chris Lynn, another one we talked about earlier, very, very similar position now to me to Alex Hales. He's got very one-dimensional by way of going leg side, looking to head off, and bowlers have cottoned onto it. So for me, he is a no. At that sort of price and 45%, I'm leaving him out.
Age gets just about every cricketer on the planet, unless your name's AB de
Yeah.
Villiers and you're smart enough to retire at the peak of your game. I saw a stat the other day as an Australian cricket diehard, as a Ricky Ponting diehard, but Steve Smith, who currently obviously higher, averaging, I should say, a lot higher than Ricky Ponting. His average at the same point of their careers has now dipped below punters. We know Ponting,
Mm,
he's struggled the last couple of years of his career. Sachin Tendulkar did the same. I think he went about 2 years
yeah.
without a century. Steve Smith starting to do a little bit the same. Hey, it's the same at all levels of cricket,
Mm,
and Alex Hales might be in the same boat. Mate, the last
yeah.
one I want to touch on, Oliver Davies, a massive, massive fan of mine. Very similar boat to Jake Fraser McGurk. He's
Mm,
explosive. The players around him have struggled this season. He comes out, he goes hard from the get-go. He's almost had to anchor the innings at times this season. 60% ownership. I'm a bit annoyed. I thought he'd be a little bit lower. He's ready to explode, and a bloke I'm keen to get in my team. That being said, I can't go against someone like James Vince and then go all in on Oliver
mm.
Davies because they're very similar. Oliver Davies bats at number 4, so more risky. Ollie Davies, someone that I'm looking to put in my team. Is there anyone else in that batting list you wanted to include?
Well, I looked at Davies, Silk, and Alex Ross, and just thought, where am I sort of sitting? I mean, I leant towards Jordan Silk, but only because I hadn't seen enough of Oliver Davies. Looked at his numbers, thought, yeah, looks decent. But that was the only reason I sort of thought if I came down to Silk and Davies, I was just going to throw Silk in at 7.5. It just saved me point 0.5, and I thought I was going to get a very similar. What's he at 55% of ownership? Silk. So ability to win you a game. From not from anywhere, but he's certainly got an enormous amount of talent. So yeah, that's why I leant towards him.
Jordan Silk is a phenomenal cricketer and a
Yeah,
perennially underrated cricketer. And I'm just thinking from a Dream 11 head here, mate, and just bats a little bit further down the order. I just
yeah,
question
it's the only
opportunities.
problem. Yeah,
But holy moly, he's an underappreciated cricketer, Jordan Silk.
yeah,
So
100%.
he's definitely the safer option of the two. I'll tell you that much.
Mm.
Wrap up the positions with the wicket keepers. Cameron Bancroft has started really well, and a bonus to Bancroft, he's also taken the wicket keeping gloves off Matty Gilks. Josh
Yeah.
Phillippe, they're both at massive ownership in Dream 11 for this contest, both at 8.5 crore. If you're picking between the two of them, who are you going with?
Oh, I'm going with Josh Phillippe. Just for the recency. Look, I know Bancroft's a very good player, and taking the gloves now gives him a massive option. And you're both talking opening batters. You're both talking quality. I just think I know Bancroft's picked up more points, but I'm just going to go with Josh Phillippe just because I probably know him a little better.
I'm going to go against you, mate. I'm going Cameron
Good.
Bancroft. He's been in elite form. He's got the gloves as well. Not that Philippi doesn't, but I feel a lot safer picking Cameron Bancroft.
Mm.
Philippi's been okay. Bancroft has been excellent this season.
Yep.
Cameron Bancroft is also playing for a test opening spot for that West Indies series coming
Mm.
up, so he's got a lot to play for, the big fella.
I wonder whether that meant that many just might dot a few up, mate. And
Yeah, please. Hey, he knows his format. Don't you worry about it. He better know that I've picked him. Mate,
oh, beautiful.
captains and vice captains. I I'm willing if I'm selecting Dan Sams, which I am. I'm
Mm.
willing to vice captaincy on him just as a little bit of a point of difference because lots I
Yeah.
think will go out there and captain him. So happy to put the vice captaincy on Dan Sams, and I'm going to go with Sean Abbott at 48%. I'm happy to take that opportunity and captain him. Who do you like?
All right. Well, I didn't mind. I didn't mind Mo, but now you tell me. I think with the non-bowling fact, I think it does take a little bit away from him. And he's the sort of player that if they're going well, he doesn't always come into bat either. So I might follow your lead then. If you think Bancroft's the player, then why don't you go with him? Why don't you throw him as captain or vice captain?
Hey, sorry, can we
I
just
mean,
for all the
you
viewers out there,
know.
Simon Doull, former Kiwi international, world renowned commentator, taking the lead of Tim Williams, fantasy
Taking your
sport
lead, mate. If you're going to throw, if you've got Bancroft on the side, mate,
expert.
keeps opens the batting. You think he's a gun. You think he's in great form. Throw him in there. Throw him in there. Give him the vice captaincy and give Dan Sams the captaincy for me.
Rightio, I like that, mate. Hey, Dooley, absolute cracking first edition of the Playbook 11 podcast. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, Tim. Thanks, buddy. Good luck to all you out there.
Thanks for everyone that tuned in, and good luck in the two contests coming up. We'll see you later in the Big Bash.